you have raised a good amount of money since you joined Cyberhaven, and knowing you pretty well, I would say you're a pretty deliberate person, and you're really thoughtful about how you approach everything. But when you think about fundraising specifically, how did you decide which investors to work with? What attributes were you looking for in those people
Yeah,
or firms?
I think the most first of all, I think it's always the people over the firms. I think the partners at the firms, the people you're going to be working with day to day, that matters so much more than the brand of the firm. The brand does matter too. I would say it's like probably 80-20 percent the brand of the firm and the resources that the firm brings, percent the individual you're going to be working with. Um, what I was looking for, I think a couple important things. Number one is shared ambition. Like I really was looking for investors that believe we could go build the breakout data security company. In cyber, as you know, David, most companies get acquired. Very few break out, become independent public companies. Um, and so a lot of cyber investors see the same thing. You know, when they see a good offer, an attractive acquisition offer, they're inclined to take it. And I wanted to make sure that my investors were committed to building for the long run and building the breakout data security company, which is what I wanted. You know, I was not here to just build it up to a certain scale and then try to go sell the company. So I was really looking for shared ambition, you know, a big outcome. And that was one very important thing. Second thing I was looking for is someone that really understood the market dynamics. So people that have invested in cyber, they understand what's happening in the market. They understand the trends. They understand what the big incumbents are doing so that it can help inform our strategy as a board. And then the third thing I was looking for are investors are looking to help. You know, a lot of investors uh, want to manage the CEO and the company. They almost, you know, they just want to govern. Other investors, they really want to roll up their sleeves and help. And you can tell the difference through the back channels. You do the back channels on investors and you get a sense of who's really there to help and who's there to govern. And I was looking for more people that wanted to roll up their sleeves and build with us.
When we talk about helping, so I couldn't agree more with that last statement. When you talk about helping, in your case, what specifically do you look to the investors to help with, or what have they helped with so far?
I think they're more subtle things, you know, a lot of times. I'll give you one recent example. So our industry is going through a lot of change right now. It's just this week, there have been 3 or 4 acquisitions announced in my market. Um, and some by, you know, mutual friends, folks that used to work for you. And so there's just a lot of action and activity in the market. So I think one of the things that I look for guidance from my board on is just, am I approaching the company strategy and all that goes with it, including funding and how we go about that, how we think about our ability to extend our platform through both organic and inorganic means, how I'm approaching the market, you know, how well positioned we are. So the help that I'm getting from them right now is just calibrating on, is our strategy to scale and build this company from where we are today to, you know, the breakout company that I want us to be. Are we on the right path? And do we need to adjust our strategy and do things differently? So I've been getting a lot of strategic input from the board recently
Mhm.
on this topic. Other times it's simply like back channeling on candidates. I've used the board a lot to back channel on candidates. Sometimes they don't know the candidates, but they certainly are well connected to other people that do. And so they've helped me get to folks that can really give me very helpful back channel. So it's at all altitudes, everything from strategy to just back channeling people. You know,
Mm.
I think I like board members who, uh, when you go to them with an ask, they follow through quickly and thoroughly. There are other, you know, as I'm sure you've experienced, sometimes you'll go to a board and you'll ask for help and you don't get anything back. It's crickets, you know. So I'm looking for folks that, you know, like follow through on when you ask them for help. And and I've been fortunate. Most of our board here has been extremely helpful in our journey.
I will say the back channel references. I think that investors, especially the well connected ones, are that may be one of the things that's like most invaluable about having a well connected investor is they can find out our industry is relatively small. It's not small, but relatively small. And being able to call someone and then being able to get you a real reference, I mean, it saved me twice for sure by having that I would not have otherwise gotten to
Yeah.
that back channel reference. So that's a good tactical one that I'm not sure everyone leverages their investors to do that.
And, sometimes you want to use them almost as a way to obfuscate your interest in a candidate, right? Because you don't want the person you're back channeling with to know that this person is loose or that you're trying to hire this person, because it might be with the former manager or leader of that individual who has started a new company or is working in another company, and they would love to have that person too. They just didn't know that that candidate was loose. And so it's a way to obfuscate a little bit to get a data point from someone that that person has worked with in the past without revealing something you don't want to reveal.
Yeah,
So
I actually never thought about that before.
yeah,
That's a good that's a good point. I One CEO told me that they to get their investors to help because most of their investors were doing nothing. They created a scoreboard that they put as the first slide of every board deck, and it basically had every investor's name and a scoreboard of how many intros they made to customers. How many? It was like all the different things. And he said, he's like, they hold me to numbers. Why can't I hold them to numbers?
yeah, I love the wall of shame. I love the wall of shame. But I think if if an entrepreneur out there is counting on their investors to make all these intros, I think it's hard. They don't want to be in the position of overly promoting their companies. A lot of these venture firms, they do have these programs where they have either like a security council or a CIO council, and so they can make intros for sure. I use my board more for late stage than early stage. Like I don't use them for business development. Like, hey, go make intros to all the people that you know in the market. I use them more like when we get late stage in a deal and we're having problems accessing the buyer in power, for example, or someone senior in the organization that we haven't been able to get to through our sales meet or sales team. I use the board to say, hey, can you help with an intro here? Can you help get us to this person? And that's been helpful. It doesn't always work out, but I use my board more in that manner, later stage than earlier in the funnel.